560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I am calling from Phoenix, Arizona. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to hear from you. Did we talk last week?
We did not. I thought about calling, but I did not get the chance.
All right. Well, what's on your mind?
Well, I am 60, and I've been a fan of the Dolphins since 71 when they played the first Super Bowl against the Cowboys. And I am admittedly not the biggest Tua fan, but I would love to see the kid have the opportunity to play behind a top 5 offensive line, somebody like Detroit or the Eagles' offensive line, just to see what the guy could do. Now, Bill Walsh once said, when he was asked by a reporter, what kind of receiver do you think you might be interested in taking in this draft? And Bill said, wide receiver. I'm not even going to think about that until I fix the offensive line. So I think until this team fixes the offensive line, if Tua is to be the guy, I don't think they're going anywhere. And I do think Greer needs to go. I think Mike needs to go, unfortunately. And I know it's, here we go every 3 or 4 years and it's the turnaround thing. But I just don't think with Greer there, I just don't think that's going to happen. He's been there. He's done that. He's tried that, and it hasn't been a success. So I think until they get the offensive line thing fixed, I don't think the Dolphins are going anywhere. And I don't think Hill needs to remain around. I think it's probably going to happen, and I don't think he's going to go anywhere. But I'd love to see the Dolphins get back to the style that the Eagles have currently gotten back to, and that's running the ball 56% of the time. But, you got the problems with A.J. Brown and whatnot and these beaver receivers, whatever. But I'd love to see the Dolphins go back to 70s style, Zonka kick and Morris type of run. I'm an older guy. I'd like to see them go back to the way it was.
Some things just work. Teams that are some of the best teams in the NFL. Are they physical or not on the front line? The Bills, absolutely. The Chiefs, absolutely. The Steelers, absolutely. The Ravens, absolutely. Now, that's just in the AFC. In the NFC, the Eagles, absolutely. The Seahawks, absolutely. The Lions, yes. Vikings, yes. Seems to be a trend. You might be onto something.
It's where it all starts, brother, in the trenches.
And there's a few things that are tried and true, and you can come up with new schemes and newfangled offenses and defenses, and at the end of the day, some things just remain true. Being strong in the trenches and having a good running game will always get you far in this league.
Especially at this time of year.
Oh, love it. Oh, love it. So thank you so much for calling. If you ever get a chance to get out to Gracie's Tax Bar in Phoenix, one of my favorite places.
Gracie's. I will keep that in mind. Great show, Dan. Thank you
so much. Thank you so much. We're hearing from you. It doesn't matter. We've had Phoenix, Arizona. We've had South Carolina. We've had Indianapolis. We've, of course, had you here in South Florida. We want to hear from everyone all over the place. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Ian calling from Lauderhill.
Break it down, Dean. Ian,
I'm about to say some things. That people are not going to be happy, but they need to be said.
Okay. Let's get it out.
When you look at Tua's return from his concussion, then if you have a chance, if you have a friend of yours that's a doctor, you ask him what happens when you're still affected with your eye-hand coordination. If you take Tua's last 15 throws and you compare them to the 15 throws prior to him being concussed, you're going to notice 3 things. He puts a lot of air on the ball, they're low, or they're extremely high. Okay? I think he's still affected. I think he's still affected by the concussions. Nobody wants to admit it because I don't know why we're so scared we don't want to admit it. Tua is not the guy. He's not built. I was born in Montreal, Canada. So some of the greatest players, coaches that I've known in different sports, like Scotty Bowman, right? Like Red Auerbach, right? Like Bill Parcells. All of them were tough coaches that demanded their players produce. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What is our culture? They always have culture. There's always a culture. You go as your coach. We have no culture here. What are we? Are we a running team? Are we a tough team?
No, we're not a running team. We had 52 yards in total rushing today. We're not a running team.
Dan, let me ask you a question. Why is he not using that big boy right? Why isn't he using him? A-Chain is not. Yes, he can run between the tackles, but you can't keep using him. He's he's small. You understand what I'm saying? And then here's the thing. I'm sorry to say this. McDaniel reminds a high school kid, well known, okay? But some of the players liked him, and now he becomes part of the players, and he's so happy that they hang out with him, okay? He's a gimmick coach with gimmick plays. We have to admit this. No one wants to admit it. The reporters, and I'm not talking about you, Dan, because I listen to you. I know when you have to say something, you guys say what you need to say. But when he's conferences, there are jokes.
Mm-hmm.
There are jokes. And my God, I hope that kid can walk. That was totally on Tua. I was watching the game with my sons, and I said, Tua killed the kid. You understand what I'm saying? It's called a hospital ball. You put the ball way up too high for him. He had to jump up. You see the safety. And that's another thing, Dan. I don't know if you've noticed that. The 3 interceptions today had one thing in common. All of them, it's like Tua didn't see the player, the opposing player.
The first 3 for sure. Well, not the first 3 because there was only 3. The one that should have been intercepted, and then the first 2 were definitely
the first 2.
He threw it to the other team. I mean, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and say, well, no, no, he threw it to the other team.
And it makes me wonder: does it go back to his concussion? And if you have a friend of yours that's a doctor, you ask him what happens when you've had 3 or 4 major concussions. Ask him about your eye-hand coordination. And I'm going to say this to end because I know there are other people waiting. Let me tell you something. I'm going to give you some names and you tell me what they all have in common. Muhammad Ali, Guy Lafleur, Pele, right? Tom Brady. What do they all have in common?
They won at the highest
These guys
level.
were killers.
Killers.
When it came time to kill you and to put their foot on you, they not only would they do it to you, they would do it to your mother.
Thank you so much, Ian. It's true. You're right. You're true. And then, Ian brings up a good point. Every team has culture. Every team has a personality. I'll be honest with you. This Dolphins team's culture and personality is, it's okay. You're still valuable. You're good. We don't yell. We don't scream. We don't get mad at each other. There's another team in this town that's known for having culture. And I'll let you know one thing. Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, they do yell. They do scream. They do hold people accountable, and they get after you.
Although I'm wondering kind of, did they go too far the opposite way? Because remember when they had Flores here, that's exactly what was going on. Tua didn't feel confident because he was being belittled by Flores at all times. He was a tough, rough coach. Then they bring in McDaniel, who is the antithesis of what Flores was. And I'm kind of wondering if they went way too far the other way. You need to actually have somebody where there are going to be consequences for your action. I mean, I remember back in the day when Adam Gase was here, the offensive line wasn't doing well. He went out and cut 2 of the offensive linemen. Shows accountability. Do you see that on this roster whatsoever right now? That's the kind of the thing that I'm wondering is that, when you have guys who make mistakes out there who are not playing up to their potential, what are the consequences for it?
Right now, not a lot of wins, at least against good teams. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Whitaker from Coral Springs.
Go for it, Whitaker. What you got?
2 points,
this
man.
Call will be recorded.
All the Tua fans that I keep hearing, talking about the offensive line. I've been watching football a long time. I don't see people standing back for 10, 15 seconds to throw the ball. I see quarterbacks who have to create spaces, have to make quick throws, have to, be able to run around a little bit. Dan, do you remember that play that the quarterback made for the Texans where he went and he got hit?
Oh, and he still completed the pass for a first down on 3rd down. Yes, I remember that.
The one he got hit by our
Chop
rookie,
Robinson.
I think. Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, those are the plays you have to make sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Like, this idea that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, by the way, Mahomes hasn't been playing with his tackles, and they're sitting there. He got crushed today against Cleveland, if you saw any of the highlights. and you just have to make plays. And it's not like Mahomes is having a great year, man. He's not having an incredible year.
His record says he is, though.
Plays that he has to make.
His record says he's having a good year.
Yeah, but it's been more defense and it's been some lucky plays here. My point is, like, quarterbacks that are forget elite. That's kind of a wish-wash word. Upper level that make a difference, that are there playing in the late playoff games. Dude, you have to raise your play regardless of how your teammates are playing in those key games. And as you always say, when you look at his record against those games, he rarely, once in a while, the Bills game, he played well, but we lost. Consistently, what you expect is exactly what, again, you saw again today. And enough is enough. And you know the definition of insanity, Dan.
I know.
And you can't turn this team over and replace all the players. But one position that you can look at and you make simple changes, and you see it all over the league when they get a good quarterback who can be a game changer and make plays, even as a rookie, i.e. Bo Nix, you see a difference in how the team plays. That's all I wanted to say, bro.
I agree. Something has to change because what we're getting right now, we can't beat a good team. We can't win on the road. We can't win in the cold. Can't win a playoff game. That has to change. That's not acceptable. 305-567-0560, 560 WQAM. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Dan? It's George calling actually from St. Augustine. So, earlier today, I put on my social media that were 0-15, winning teams on the road. Okay, and that it was not on our side. The Dolphins just, proved it right. They didn't change. One that I wish that I was a sideline is the head coach of the Lions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dan Campbell. Like, he has the culture, he has the narrative, he has the strength, he has the agility, he has everything that a head coach needs in order to move a winning team forward. The Dolphins don't have that. All these Tua fans, and I like Tua, but I'm on the Tua bandwagon because he doesn't show up in big games, okay? He does not know how to, read a defense. When was the last time you see him audible, right? Like, Tua is not it. He had 3 major interceptions today, that cost essentially the game, So, this all starts with, Greer, then falls down to McDaniel, then falls down to Tua. I think we should clean house, trade Hill, and then just move forward with our team because with Greer under the front office, we're not going anywhere. And I could only imagine what Dan Campbell would have done with our current office that we have right now with the players on offense and on the defensive side. I mean, it's crazy.
I would say it would be a much different team if Dan Campbell were the coach right here at the Miami Dolphins. Still are, again, or however you want to look at it, much, much different team. I'm not saying Dan Campbell's the end-all, be-all. I'm saying it right now. He's got things going. Does that also get old in a system? It could also. Sometimes you wear players down, but right now he's got it rolling, and this Dolphins team has a lot to figure out.